What's up, guys? It's me, Jeremy. So we're attending BlizzCon this weekend, and they announced the new expansion, The Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, and we got an awesome chance to take a look and play some games at the event, at the venue. And the instant we got the footage, we of course rushed home to try to get this video out for you guys as quick as we could. And honestly, the new expansion's actually looking pretty awesome, I do have to say. And we did get a chance to actually play with a lot of the new cards. So in this video, we have 2 games to show you guys. And the original recording was a little over 20 minutes, and I wanted to shorten the video down to a little under 15 minutes, which is why you're going to see the gameplay kind of jump around a little bit here and there. I'm kind of just cutting out, like the dead air of the actual games themselves. But I also do have to say that at BlizzCon, of course, the setups for recording is not ideal. It's a very cramped sort of area. It's very difficult to have room for a camera, and the setups are mostly just intended for demo purposes. So of course the footage is not of the highest quality. We don't actually get the opportunity to record the gameplay from the computers themselves. But overall, it was, a really awesome time attending BlizzCon in general, and I'm really excited to be able to show this footage to you guys, and we definitely wanted to get it out as quickly as we could. So let's jump right into the game that's been playing on in the background. As you can notice, I have 2 new cards in my hand. My opponent here just played another new card as well, the Midnight Drake, and I just drew another new card for myself too. So I'm sure you guys are all wondering what that 10 mana legendary is, and that is definitely one of the most awesome cards that I got the chance to play with. It's essentially a 0 mana 7/7. Blizzard thought that 4 mana 7/7s just weren't enough, so they decided to give everyone a 0 mana 7/7, because what the card does is it's a 10 mana 7/7 legendary, but it has a choose one effect, where the 2 options are A, gain 10 armor, or B, refresh your mana crystals. So you can actually get the opportunity to play it and just get 10 mana right back. Next up, you're going to see this other card that I played, which is a 5 mana 5/3, discover a Shaman, Rogue, or Druid card. And I get the Doomhammer, of course, definitely the best pick of the 3. That's a pretty sweet card to get in a Druid, that's for sure. With the Druid hero power, it's some awesome combos, and a lot of the new cards in general really create such awesome, just really cool synergies and situations that you wouldn't have expected. In just these 2 games that I played at BlizzCon, you guys are going to see it's already some crazy stuff happened, which was just really cool. And it's something that I really am excited for, because it's something that we didn't entirely see with Karazhan. With Karazhan, a lot of the cards didn't entirely create new experiences, but after having played just 2 games only, I definitely do have to say that, this expansion is going to be awesome. And you saw me zoom out a little bit there. That's because I actually was switching cameras, because I realized that my other camera could just get, a little bit of a better perspective on the game there. So I play my 0 mana 7/7, pick the option to gain 10 mana back. I play a Doomhammer, and well, that's a pretty ridiculous turn if I do say so myself. And then of course, throw in a little Innervate and summon 7 Wisps just for fun, because we didn't really have much else to do with the Innervate. And the 3 mana card that you see in my hand is 3 mana, gain a mana crystal for each friendly creature that you have. So potentially a wild growth on steroids in the right situation. Maybe it's a little bit too situational to be useful, but of course, since I have 10 mana in this situation, it's not exactly the most useful card. And something that I actually discovered with it is that when you play it at 10 mana, it doesn't actually get you an empty mana, or whatever that card is, that 0 mana card that draws you a card, which you'll see actually right here, because of course I top deck a wild growth, and I don't really have much to do, so I'm just going to play the Wild Growth and, draw a card, try to cycle, and see what I can get. And, well, I get another Innervate, so I'm going to play the Pilfered Power to see if I can draw another card, and, well, it turns out that you actually don't draw a card with that. So that's definitely a learning experience there. I guess I just didn't really know what the card did, to be fair. I think most of us would have assumed that it would give you a card when you have 10 mana, but unfortunately, I assumed incorrectly, and I end up just wasting the card completely. But I still have my Doomhammer, still have my hero power, still got my Wisps, so I get a nice little board clear on my opponent, and I'm not actually in the best spot right now, I have to say, just because, well, I have an Innervate, and another one of my cards was completely useless. And I just pass the turn and see what the priest cards have to offer against me. But it turns out that he as well has a new card to his name. Let's see what it is, everybody. Here it comes. Are you ready? Because it is the Dragonfire Potion, which completely destroys my entire board. And at this point, I gotta say, well, it's not looking too good for me. I'm probably gonna lose. My opponent's got, 6 cards in hand, so we'll skip a little bit because my opponent busts out the MVP, the highlight card, Gadgetzan, to create a custom spell, which, oh man, this card is just not like, oh man, this thing is just the coolest thing ever. I can't believe it. It's so damn cool and awesome and creates so many options and opportunities with the spell, and I'm really excited to see what people are able to do with this card just in general. My priest opponent also plays a new spell as well, Potion of Madness, which is kind of like a mini Shadow Madness. Gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack until the end of the turn. And I do top deck the Ironbark Protector, so even though it's looking pretty bad for me so far, I gotta say that's probably one of the better cards in my deck that I can draw, considering the fact that because of my Doomhammer, I get to clear my opponent's board. So it's not looking too bad for me just yet, I gotta say. And maybe there's a chance that I could stage a comeback in this game if I get a nice couple of top decks. But let's see here. What's my opponent gonna do? Well, it turns out that Gadgetzan does some pretty interesting stuff as they bust out the 10 mana Gadgetzan Potion, summon 3 friendly minions that died this game, and deal a perfect 8 damage to clear my Ironbark Protector. And man, that is a pretty awesome spell, I gotta admit. Look at that. Look at those animations. That is just nasty. Oh my god, he totally wrecks me here. I have no chance of coming back at this point. Even though I have the swipe, my opponent just goes on to completely wreck me in this game, and I just get absolutely demolished. And I think we're gonna move on to the next game now, because that first one was pretty much over. So yeah, we're moving on to the next game here just because, the first one I get killed like the following turn after I play that swipe. So I kind of wanted to just, find a way to speed these games up a little bit. And I actually start the game with Kun the Forgotten King again. So gain 10 armor or refresh your mana crystal. That's a really awesome legendary card. Should be pretty fun to play with. And Pilfered Power as well is actually kind of interesting, I guess. Maybe it's a little bit too situational to be super competitive, but it does seem like it has a lot of potential with certain cards and just some kind of combos for maybe summoning some stealth minions and then gaining like 3 mana crystals on turn 3 or something like that, who knows. But my opponent busts out the Knife Juggler just at the start of the game. Of course I got my Wild Growth, so I'm doing just fine so far, and it's looking like this game, maybe it's going to go better than the last one. Hopefully we'll see. And I think my opponent is going to play another new card here. I'll have to wait for him. Yes, so the Grime Street Informant. So a 2-mana 1/1, discover a Hunter, Paladin, or Warrior card. So the big thing of this expansion is that they're kind of like grouping class cards. Multi-class cards is like the big thing. So Hunter, Paladin, or Warrior is one group of classes. Priest, Mage, and Warlock is the other group. And then Druid, Shaman, and Rogue is the remaining group of classes. And so those 3 groups are very concrete and set. They don't intersect with each other ever. It's very concrete, and so you're only going to be able to get Druid and Shaman and Rogue cards when you're playing from the Druid set or from the Rogue set or from the Shaman set, and likewise for all the other groups. And well, turns out I get a little bit unlucky here, I have to say. 2 knives to my minion, but I get a nice little 5-mana top deck. Battlecry, discover a Druid, Rogue, or Shaman card. 5/3. Nice new card there. And I actually get something that I thought was just super cool here. I get the Ethereal Peddler. Now, they recently changed the wording on Ethereal Peddler, if you guys didn't know, of course, for this expansion in specific, because now it works so amazingly well and is such an awesome combo. If you're holding any non-rogue class cards in your hand, you instantly reduce the cost by 2. The Ethereal Peddler does not have to stay alive. It just instantly reduces the cards in your hand already. And well, it turns out I've actually got quite a few non-rogue class cards in my hand. Turns out I've got, well, 4 actually. So that's pretty super awesome. But my opponent's got like a nice little big board there, so I kind of do have to respond to that, but I got the swipe, so I get a nice little board clear, just a swipe and a hero power. But my opponent did actually play a nice new card there, the 5/3 Centaur. But of course, swipe just cleans that up pretty nicely. Unfortunately, I don't get the Ethereal Peddler combo out just yet, but I'm, doing okay in this game. I'm not falling too far behind on tempo just yet so far for the most part. My opponent drops down the Sword of Justice, a Grime Street Informant, again, the second copy of that one. And I believe they, yeah, so it's just my turn again. And I get to do some awesome stuff because I play the Ethereal Peddler. Oh man, that is just such a cool combo, and I'm so excited for this expansion to see all these like crazy and just super awesome combos that you would just like never see or experience in, you know, in Hearthstone in general. Like all these crazy things of like getting an Ethereal Peddler and Druid, like that would just never happen. But now it's something that's going to be happening all the time, and I'm really excited to see all these like crazy interactions and situations of just, you know, unexpected combos or just interesting, you know, events that really happen in the game. And I think it's something that's going to be really awesome and especially make the next upcoming expansion really fun more than anything else. And so my opponent plays one of the newer legendaries, so a 3-mana 2/2 Divine Shield with Taunt, where damage dealt by this minion also heals your own heroes, so maybe not too bad, but we'll have to see about that one. And I'm sat at 10 mana now, so I've got quite a few options considering that I could draw cards, play some minions, discover a card if I wanted to. I've got all sorts of combos that I could do, but I'm going to start it off with the new legendary, refreshing my mana crystals, getting that 0 mana 7/7 of course. Easy peasy, no problem. And then from there, of course, it's an easy nourish to draw some cards, refill my hand. And I was thinking about playing the 5 mana creature, the 5/3 that discovers, but you know, turns out in this board state, it's definitely not the best play because my opponent has a 3/3 with a Divine Shield, so he's going to get a nice trade onto my 5/3 creature. So I opt to go for playing the guys that summon a bunch of other guys. I guess I could have drawn some more cards as well, but I felt like this option was probably the thing that put me the furthest ahead on board. So overall, I think this was okay, I guess, for the most part. My opponent does get to heal a decent, well, only 1 HP because he was at 29 when I hero powered his minion, but he also plays another new card, the Second Rate Bruiser. So Taunt costs 2 less when your opponent has at least 3 minions. That's actually a really interesting taunt card potentially because, you know, he plays it for 3 mana. So very interesting, and it's very successful when you get to pull it off. Could be an awesome comeback card that we'll see in the new set. Potentially really interesting to play with and stuff, so who knows? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But this game's actually kind of in my favor, to be honest, considering the cards in my hand. You know, I've got a lot of nice removal. I've got the 5 mana spell that will let me draw cards as well. That 5 mana spell, by the way, I actually forgot to explain it, is just a 5 mana, you know, draw, I believe 2 cards, maybe it's 3. Anyway, the minions that you draw using that card cost 2 less mana, so it is potentially like a really nice tempo version of something like Arcane Intellect, I guess, because you can draw cards and then, you know, say you get like a 2-drop minion, you just play it instantly, right? Because, well, it costs 0. So my opponent here also plays a 3 mana spell, so draw 3 1-drops, 3 1-cost minions from your deck. So that's kind of an interesting 3 mana, draw 3 actually, but you only draw 3 cards that just aren't that strong, really. And in response to my board, I've got the 0 mana 7/7, so looks like my opponent's not really standing too much of a chance, I gotta admit. And considering the fact that I got some nice, you know, a bunch of dudes on the board, I just drop down the scenarios, get some really nice trades there. Makes for a pretty easy game. And this one is actually gonna wrap up pretty closely because my opponent's only got, you know, a couple cards in his hand. And yeah, this game actually I just kill him on the next turn essentially. So, or the next, like, the following turn after that. But overall, you know, I do want to keep this video as short as I possibly could. It's still like way longer than I wanted it to be, let's be honest here. But I hope you guys enjoyed some of the gameplay of the new expansion and of course of Gadgetzan, the super epic beast that's going to be coming to Hearthstone in the future, and I'm really excited for this expansion. Either way though, guys, if you enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button. If you didn't, you know, it's all good. Feel free to hit that dislike button as well. Subscribe if you want. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the look into Hearthstone's next expansion, and we're going to close this one out just right about here, so I'll see you guys next time.